Colm, Big Zeb, he fell in the champion chase a couple of years ago, won it 2 years ago, second in the race last year. Can he go back and win it again now, do you think?
Yeah, again, we're hopeful. He seems well. Everything's gone really well with him. He seems in great order. He's probably never looked as well either. Yeah, we're hoping we can put up a big show, and whether we were good or not, will be the next thing. But yeah, you'd like to think he won't be too far away.
He was beaten by Size in Europe in the race last year, but yet he came on to Punchestown and got his revenge on him.
Yeah, it's probably hadn't the greatest run going to Cheltenham. You know, he never looked as well last year, and you're always kind of tippy toeing with him a bit. You know, his coat was always dull. He just never really came to it. I can't really say there was anything wrong with him, but at the same time he wasn't firing or looking as well as he does now. Yeah, and well considering. You know, it's only when you look back at last year's and you see what a dig they were getting into the ground and what divots were flying. You know, so hoping they won't put too much water on it this year.
And you think he's a much better horse on better ground, do you?
It seems to be that way. He was good at Leopardstown at Christmas this year. I was impressed. I was really impressed with him now, the way he picked up. You know, the first two boys got first run on him, and you know, Puppy was very good on him. He just sat on him, and you know, within a couple of strides he had him picked, and he was gone past him. So he still seems to have some of his old sparkle, yeah. And
in his first run this year in the Fortrea Chase, they didn't go a great pace, and the ground was probably soft, but yet he was still able to beat Noble Prince for Paddy Del Bastre.
Yeah, it was and it was kind of a bit of a sprint, I think, as well. You know, and it was called heavy ground, but they were probably going a gear slower, and it probably suited us with probably having more pace. But yeah, again, kind of going back, everything has gone really well with him up to it, and so far. So touch wood, and we will for the next couple of days.
Yeah, and do you think on the Leopardstown run, he showed that day that he still had pace, even though he was rising 11. He's still got that 2 mile specialist pace, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I was delighted about, and that's what I was impressed about, you know. And then he was going there. I suppose I was never as happy going to a race with him as I was going that day. You know, and then saying that, I couldn't have been happier going to Punchestown with him the last day either. So, yeah, different surfaces.
Yeah, and were you disappointed that he got beaten by Size in Europe at Punchestown?
Yeah, I was very disappointed. You know, I'd probably, the year we were having, we thought he was unbeatable, you might say, you know, but disappointed, but not one bit surprised. You know, it was you know, he didn't go on it before, that sort of way, you know, and he was probably, Henry's horse was good, he was probably going a gear quicker than we wanted to go on that ground. There's no doubt we were just out of our comfort zone. Yeah, again, luckily Puppy looked after him, and you wouldn't have known he had a race the next day. So disappointed, but yeah, not surprised.
Because you've used that race, the Tide College Chase at Punchestown, as his prep run for Cheltenham for the last couple of years. Had you left plenty to work with in the lead up to that race, like you said, his prep run for Cheltenham?
Not so much. Like he was fairly ready going there, and you know, if things had worked out, you know, if he was an awful lot better going this year than I would have said last year. But they probably went 2 gears slower last year. Yeah, again, disappointed that we didn't travel or jump the way we can, but yeah, no, not surprised though.
Yeah, and do you think have you had a better run with him this year, leading up to Cheltenham, than you had last year? Like, do you think he's just in better form with himself?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, he's a different horse this year and everything. You know, he's you only have to look at him, you know, and I think he's ever looked as well now, you know. So yeah, in that sense, I couldn't be happy with him. But yeah, we're under no illusions, you know. He's not getting any younger either. He's poor devil, like he's had more than his fair share of problems as well. So, but you know, we're on bonus time with him now. You know, he's been so good to us. So whatever he does now, it'll be the bonus.
Yeah, and as an 11-year-old, I think Moscow Flyer is the only horse since Sky Mass to win a champion chase at the age of 11 or older than 10. Do you think he can still do it at the age of 11?
I'd like to think so. You know, we've depends on how better Henry's horse is. I think, you know, than he was last year. You know, he's been very good this year. You know, but you know, we're lucky we chinned him in Punchestown last year, and like again on nice ground. And if the ground is as big a difference, you know, hoping that might make the difference.
Yeah, and silly question, but do you think sizing Europe is your biggest danger?
I think the run in the race is the biggest danger, you know. Yeah, I'd never be worried about a horse or horses, you know. It's more things going right. I'm more worried about the fences now than you know, and your heart is in your mouth, and unfortunately we're going to have to meet every one of them right, and land running at the back of them. Yeah, I might be more worried about the run of the race than what's in it.
But his jumping now is very good compared to when he started off as a novice. It was a little bit hit and miss, but now he's very good.
Yeah, again, he's had plenty of practice since, you might say, you know. About time he's getting it ironed out, but yeah, he still does take a chance, you know. You know, he's never one you could take a sigh of relief now. As always, when you jump the last, you might say, you know, your heart is in your mouth with him, and it's probably the reason he is so good over him, because he's plenty of bottle over him, and he's not afraid to let fly at one.
Yeah, like, isn't that the way with the really top class 2 mile chasers? They nearly have to be brave, at the very least, very brave at their fences.
Yeah, no, and Barry's always said it, and he's, you know, and it's the different, you know, he hurdles his fences more so than jumps them, and he's probably paid the price for it, for doing it, you know. But yeah, if everything does go alright, you know, and there's so many things that does have to, and probably and all, but if you have to do, like, you're hoping he will, you know.